Word. Okay, guys, welcome to another show. This is an impromptu show tonight, guys. I have a friend. I've known this man probably since what the early '90s or late '90s, I think. Peter. Um, I have my friend Peter Hodson from the band Z Plan. Welcome, Peter.
Thank you for having me.
No, it's my pleasure. Anyway, I've been trying to get in touch with you and do this right. It's not like we've haven't we've just been trying to find the right days and times to work.
Absolutely.
So, tell me a little bit about, for the people that don't know who you are, what is Z Plan?
Z Plan actually started off as a recording idea. I had a studio in Branford, Connecticut, and I started tapping local talent just to see what it would sound like, because I had been recording by myself at that point. And Bill Welch and Larry Nero were two friends of mine that had played in various different bands that I knew of. And the first song that we actually worked on ended up on our first CD. Believe in Love was the first idea we ever actually worked on. And it was so good that I just continued on working with them. So.
Yeah, there was a whole plethora of songs on that first album that, when I first heard it on CD Baby, I'm like, I love this band. And you recently just told me something about people from Boston that like the band. Can you go back to that for me a little bit?
Yeah, when we had released the first CD, I mean, we had a pretty big online presence at that point. And Barry Goudreau and Brad Delp would actually email us and say, "Wow, we love what you're doing," and I was getting a big kick out of it because certainly Brad, a vocal hero of mine without a doubt. What a voice,
Yeah, incredibly an amazing voice. You can hear it in every song he sang. I mean, just amazing. So the band Z Plan, who was in the band? Of course you were. Who else was in the band?
It was Bill Welch was acoustic guitars, vocals, Larry Nero vocals. There was different elements of the band at different points, but our drummer was always Dean Cristiano, unbelievably talented kid. Ed Marola was our bass player. And these are still people that I stay in touch with to this day that, we always have hopes of doing more things. It's getting everyone's schedule to link up to do it because we started off as a studio band, and that's why I never considered us broken up, because I can always call somebody and say, "Hey, come over sing. Hey, come over play," and they'll be up for it. So
Yeah, and you said you also in the earlier days you opened up for the Blue Oyster Cult and a couple other bands. Is that true?
Yep. We opened for Blue Oyster Cult at Toad's Place in New Haven. Rick Derringer at some outdoor gig in Leslie West was in that.
Oh,
lineup.
Leslie. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yep.
That's really cool.
I sat and talked with Rick Derringer, which was, it's a rush to talk to people that you grew up listening to. I mean, you try not to, oh my God.
Yeah, the fan thing comes out. It's hard because you kind of fall over yourself. When we met Eddie Money, just to say, we were like in awe with him. It's like blah 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 blah. What do you say? I mean, you're a great guy. You're talented. You got great music, and he hears the same thing from everybody when they walk up to him. So you want to sound different, and you want to sound unique, and it's like, oh boy, this guy really loves me, but he doesn't know what to say. So yeah, it is what it is. We did the same thing with Rick Springfield. He's like, well, you got, you could 5 minutes to say hi to him. And we just said, hi, how you doing?
No, it's, probably what I feel is like my most famous person that our art director that was in my first band Mystery that I was in, and that we had been opening for Michael Bolton. she ended up working for Todd Rundgren, and we used to go up to his studio in Woodstock, New York, and spend the weekends in his guest house. And he was recording a cappella when we were up there one weekend, and he would start at 6 o'clock in the morning and whip the doors open, and we're like, oh my God, this guy is just like unbelievable. And Todd, the nicest guy, like
Not
welcoming in,
easier. Yeah.
and it was a blast being up there, and we heard lots of great stuff on the reels up there.
Now, Jeff Kanata, our friend, or your friend as well, is involved in this band, correct? In some way, somehow.
Well, Jeff, Jeff has always been a person that I actually looked up to. When I was early years in music, Jeff was 10 years older than me, and his band was playing a lot locally around here. And I would follow him, and we were like, okay, we need vocals like that. We need a light show like that. We need bombs. We need. By the time I was 15, we had 2 truckloads of equipment. Our light show came from the New Haven Arena. We actually went in there as kids, and we took all the lights off the ceiling because they were ripping down the place. And we lowered down the big spotlights, and we took them all away in a truck. And that was our light show for my band Hilltop, which was wild.
Oh wow, yeah, and you've got a lot of friends out there where you're at in Connecticut, I'm sure, and you a lot of musicians that are friends with you, but all over the world. You said you have a big following in the UK. That's the Z plan, correct?
Yeah, Europe and Japan were our biggest followers as far as when we had a big internet presence. And their music over there is much more diverse, and I think it's more grounded than here. We're like all over the place here. I am definitely tied down to like a 70s thing. I don't know. That's there was for me, there's no better music that ever came out than the late 60s and through the 70s. It was like the best music that you listen to it to this day, and you're just like, where were we as people on the planet? I mean, they were just writing the most unbelievable stuff.
Yeah, I think you even asked me one time. You said, "Can you play a certain song for me?" What was that name of that song? Do you remember?
I have no idea.
It was by a band that was obscure band. I remember. Um, and I said, "Yeah, I have that song." He was like, "Okay, play it." I played it. So I played a Z plan around it. So I gave you your song plus more Z plan. So just letting you know I did that. Um, the music, of course, the music that we're listening to on the Z Plan CDs is still available at CD Baby, is it not?
Yeah, we're mostly a digital download now. Not too many people got CDs players, and you know, not too many people even know what CD players are. Certainly, my children,
Yeah.
sideways, just like, who's got CD players? And, nobody.
Everything is an MP3 today. Everything is a MP3 player, digital download. But bands are still doing it. You can still download music. Like my friend Dennis Holzebrook, in California, you could still download his new CD from a website or from I think from iTunes or a couple places. So it's still available. It's just that people have to look for it and have to know what they're looking for.
And vinyl's starting to come back too. So
Yeah, I'm happy about that. I'm always happy to see vinyl come back, but not at $30 an album. That's just way crazy. We also talked about some of your influences too, Peter. A lot of your influences were similar to mine. The Beatles. Can we go through some of them?
certainly the Beatles. Would be my first. I mean, when I was just old enough to stand, I was, I wanted to be a Beatle, and I think a lot of musicians that you talk to, and that first heard the Beatles as their, they were like, it changed my life. It drove me in a direction of, and no one could ever top that. I mean, just for me anyway.
Well, I've talked to many people about the Beatles all the time, and if there's a song you don't like, there's always like 10 songs you do like. I mean, and that's the way it seems like it with the Beatles. I mean, you can listen to one album, you're like, nah, I don't like that song, but I like all these other 10, 15 songs.
You
So
know, certainly Crosby, Stills and Nash, America, Styx, REO Speedwagon. I mean, stuff like that. I was giant fans of all those bands.
yeah, there's a lot of the similarities to your band with a lot of them bands. Of course, the harmonies. We talked about the Eagles. We talked about a lot of the sounds are not similar, but I would say they were almost like from them bands. And I think that's the kind of sense that people got, and that's why they love your band so much.
Yeah, the harmonies, but by far, Eagles and Crosby, Stills and Nash. I mean, their harmonies can to this day are just like, I listen back to their stuff and I'm still like, you know, blown away by their talent. Just like, oh my God.
And it's just words, but it's the way they put them words, right?
Yeah, just all the different players and when Joe Walsh joined the Eagles, it changed the band for, that's when they always had good guitar players, but not Joe put it one level above.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. I definitely agree. I know Don Felder said the same thing when Joe Walsh came in. It was a welcomed addition to the Eagles. I can imagine if certain people didn't go into certain times, certain places, the band would have definitely not have been either as successful, or as a solo artist they would have been more successful. I don't know how that's going to work, but the writing ability, the way the sound structure of the song and all the chords and the way it's set up is just an amazing. It's just like time is taking you away.
Well, if you haven't watched Laurel Canyon, you should watch that. It's really good.
Yeah, and you guys did you do soundtracks too? Did you tell me?
I've done quite a few soundtracks for like the Discovery Channel. I had this one guy that he was working as the video person for the show Felicity at the time when our first CD came out, and then he started working on shows for the Discovery Channel, like um, World's Most Dangerous Places and things like that. So this guy would call me. I mean, he called me like he had a sat phone, and he called me from the side of Mount Everest. He was hanging on the side of Mount Everest, and he was just like, "I'm listening to your CD up here." He goes, "We really got to do something together." And he would call me from the most bizarre places, like like in Afghanistan, or. And he was like, your music is like keeping me level. It's keeping me going. And I was like, wow, that's really cool to hear. So then, a couple of years later, he got these shows on the Discovery Channel, and he started, using my stuff. So it was great.
Yeah, and along comes other radio stations that were interested in playing your music. Do you feel like you guys had the right agent or structure at the time, or you think you could have went further?
Well, we the combination of what we were doing, a lot of Bill was able to take our ability to record music to another level because of his financial ability. So, and Bill, like for our first CD, Bill paid me to sit in the studio, and it was the only time I was ever able to actually sit there and say, look what I could do. And he paid all the bills. He paid for the studio. He paid for every single thing. He said, don't worry about it. Sit there, do what you got to do. And it tied me to him in a way. And we were talking a little while about, you were saying, well, people can be replaced and things like that. Well, there's reasons why people can't be replaced. And my friendship with him is way beyond me stuffing somebody else in the band and saying, well, I'm going to go and tour without you, or so, I've built friendships with these people, and I refuse to step on their toes for my own agenda. You know what I mean? So it's not.
No,
Just
and I understand that, but like you said, Z Plan is basically a studio band, because you guys did it in studio, and you didn't have the personality to tour, and I understand that. That makes a lot of sense. But you guys did make some great music.
yeah, and I still have at least one or two CDs in me. I would say I'm working on some new stuff with Jeff Canada right now, and Jeff is driven. He has the ability to stay in the studio and work all the time, where I'm out working another job to pay for my bills. So if my hands work today, I get to play the guitar because I use I use my hands in construction,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
and it beats the heck out of you.
Well, like I said, I was a mechanic for 25 years, so believe me, I know about working on cars and stuff like that. It's kind of rough on you. It takes its toll on you. Any type of manual labor, you're working hard for your money, and you're putting your body, through a lot of stuff, almost like what a wrestler does in a way. Um, but I did want to ask you about the songs. Um, is there any songs that really stand out to you on the first CD that you consider still great songs? I mean, I like them all, but there's some, that are other people don't like them as much, and that's fine because everybody's got their own taste. But is there a song that stands out to you? You can just say, "Yeah, this is my song. This is
All
the song I love."
all of our songs involve love in some aspect. I mean, that's where I was at. So certainly Circus is a really strong song. Jeff Canada helped a lot in the production of all that stuff. He came to my studio and set up the board to record the drums, and he was constantly on the phone with me. I was asking him, how do I do this, how do I do that, because Jeff is like super knowledgeable. He's got the best ears. That guy gets the most unbelievable sound. So yeah, I recorded it at my studio. Yeah, I mean, but when I took it to his studio to mix, it's totally Canada that made it sound that way, because he's ungodly good. He's so good.
Yeah, I would love to interview him at some point too. I think that would be a great interview to talk to him. But so you like them all. There's not one song that you like other. And all right, I understand that. I mean, because they're all your babies. They're all part of what you guys done. The second CD and the last couple tracks that you did that you sent me. Um, it can get better. I think that would have been a great song for COVID. It can get better. You know, it's a great motivational, excellent tune. And I would say this, and I told you this before, it's very Pink Floydish.
That's me. That song's me, like 100%. Um, I had tried to get Bill in. I got Bill in for "God Save the Queen" and
Oh, I lost you with the Wi-Fi. It'll come back. Give it a second. It's raining really hard out, so give it time. Hope I didn't lose you. I'll talk until you come back. Yeah, but Z Plan, great stuff. I lost you, Bill, Peter, for a little bit. Can you finish what you said?
I was saying the way that I work, I start the music, and then I say, okay, Bill, come and play some acoustic guitars. Bill, come and do some vocals. Larry, I need some. Larry's really out there, and he is the perfect person to ask to write some lyrics if you need it, because he's the most ungrounded person I know. He just kind of floats through this life, and he's always able to come up with lyrical content.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you too. The song structure that you come up with is usually, is that the way it flows all the time? The music is first, and then the lyrics come, or is the lyrics, or is it both at once sometimes?
Sometimes we're sitting there on acoustic guitars, and we come up with the idea. Sometimes it'll be me, and I have a full idea, or Larry will have a full idea. Bill generally has input, but I don't think he's ever come to the table with a full, complete song. He's a super talented person, and the most amazing acoustic guitar player. And he filled every single void that I could not. I'm a good guitar player, but not a great guitar player. So Billy is really a talented acoustic guitar player, and I certainly will hand it over to somebody that's much more capable than me if I have that at my access.
Now, did you guys ever play covers at your shows when you did them as well?
Not as Z Plan. No, I certainly played in cover bands, a multitude of, I did that as a living for, many years, but, it, you know, five nighters, you make $1,500 a week, you burn your voice out. By the end of the week for me, it was, my voice was so ripped up that I couldn't speak. And interestingly enough, my singing voice would still hang in there. And I was dealing with that by doing a shot of tequila and a Hall's cough drop, and it would keep my voice, able to sing. Yes.
No, so the halls helped you a little bit, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. So yeah, so the music that you guys created, um, do you know how many radio stations were actually playing you guys in America? You said not a lot, right?
I have no idea. We were starting to get to, I have a whole bunch of different paperwork. We were in this film, this independent film, this, all these different areas. I am not a businessman. I am just a musician. And the business end of it for me, if I could have let it go and let somebody, people were telling me all the time, well, you got to find that person that's going to
Yeah,
get
it's hard to find. I know.
Um, nah, the business end of it is just, it wrecks the fun of playing music. And how many times do you want to be told no when you send it to a record company? It's it makes you not want to play anymore. It's like,
Yeah, but the thing is, why are they saying no when everybody loves your music? It's just like if you could have just went, if you guys just could have got past that one thing or found that one record company to say, yeah, I love these guys. I think you could have been bigger. I really do.
well, I only had one thing in mind when I was recording. Certainly the CDs was that I wanted to be able to listen to it in 20 or 30 years and say, okay, I shouldn't have left that. I shouldn't, so I was really particular about what I left in there. I tried to use every talented person that was around me. Certainly the area that I live in here in Connecticut, there's a ton of talent, and there's a lot of people that deserve to be heard. And certainly people that I went and, I love as a musician going to hear somebody and saying, wow, I could really do something with that person. I can really,
Yeah, that's really cool. So now you say your kid's playing. That's got to make you feel really good. And he doesn't even want your help. He's just like, I'm dad. I got this. I'm doing my own. That's got to make you feel real good that your son's playing. So yeah, Wi-Fi cut out on us again. It must be a storm going on, but I'm sure you'll come back. Oh, you
Are you
are
there?
back. Okay.
There
So
we go.
so your son is playing music now, you told me.
Yes, my son is in a band called Anchor. These kids are all have only been playing for 4 or 5 years. When my son was interested in music, I was just like, I'm going to throw everything that I possibly can at this kid and just put it in his room. I put a recording studio in his room. I would just guitar after guitar, bass, you know, clarinet, trumpet, like anything. And he like me, he picks them up and plays them. And I've always been that type of person who could pick up something and just play it.
That's good. You guys did you ever consider having a brass section in the band?
No, I mean, I love music like
We're,
that.
we're
Certainly.
mix we're mixing like see, because I always thought of to enhance the sound even more to bring in a brass section like a Chicago sound.
There's another band that influenced me a great deal. Certainly Chicago was, you know, there's certain bands that you listen to and you can remember, Your Girlfriend or things like that from this song or that song, and certainly Chicago is one of those bands.
I got a reply from my friend Rich Hall. He says record companies have a standard set of guidelines. If you step outside of what they think sounds good, they don't even give you a chance. That's 100% correct. Yeah, unfortunately, that's true. Yeah, but it doesn't mean that you stop, right? It doesn't mean that because you guys, I mean, you at least are still writing and doing stuff. So what do you got going on, going in the future now? New stuff, new songs, new CDs, what?
I'm working on several things with Jeff Canada right now, and I'm always doing something like that. I'm always writing soundtracks. I have the other half a dozen songs that I had started for Z Plan that I still haven't finished. But with digital, it sits there and waits until I have the time to do it, which is a good thing.
Yeah, you love mixing. I know I see your stuff in the back. I know you probably love mixing the sounds, and I like the raw ability of doing that. You have that ability today, and years ago we didn't have that ability. So that's got to be even a nicer thing for musicians to handle. A lot of my friends that are musicians are like, yeah, I can't wait to, it's like a new baby. You just I want to build this vocal out or put this sound here or this musical instrument here, and that's man, that's a great way to structure a song, I guess.
Well, Jeff Canada is such a talented engineer that you know, just me hanging out with him, he would, oh, this is where you put the mic on the guitar. This is what you do to record a good vocal. This is what you want to do. And he has coached me through it for years and made it so I could finally record my own stuff like really good.
Right. I want to go back to the first CD, and I
Uh,
want to talk about the couple songs on there that when I first heard them, I said, wow, that sounds like Boston. That was Carrie Ann. Can you tell me a little bit about the writing of that song and the structure of how you guys arrived at that song? That was a great song.
Carrie Ann.
Yes.
Yeah, Carrie Ann was on the second CD, but
Oh, second CD. What you know what I mean? Whatever.
yeah, Carrie Ann was Larry was with me in a house, and I had the studio in the attic at that point, and he kept knocking on my door. My girlfriend was over, and he kept knocking on my door. He was really excited. He had sat up all night and wrote this song, and he kept knocking on my door. So if I wasn't answering my door, so he was behind my door at 6 o'clock in the morning playing Carrie Ann and singing it to me. And he was like, I have this great song. And I was like, Larry, I'm sleeping. And he was like, no, you got to hear it. I'm so excited about this. So Larry completely wrote that song, and then of course we all put our input on it when we were recording. But yeah, he was very zealous about that 6 o'clock in the
Yeah. See, I get the CDs confused because number one, I'm old. I forget. It's been a while. Not to say anything bad about you guys, but I just don't remember a lot of stuff, certain places. Another song that stood out for me, of course, is Lessons.
Okay, so Lessons of Love was another one where, well, Larry wasn't living with me at the time, but he was living near me. And I went over his house and he had the riff. These are the lessons of love. And that's all he gave me. He goes, and I went home to the studio and I wrote the rest of the song around what he had given me. And he came back. Then I'm one of those persons when I really get going on something, I literally record like 18 hours until I fall down, and then go back and start doing it again. And that was one of those songs. I was just so driven to finish it. And of course the giant vocals, me, Bill, Larry, was such a blast to stand around the mics and sing with those guys. I mean, that's probably my biggest thrill is doing harmony vocals with those guys. It was so much fun.
I love that chord change at the near the end where the vocals come in. That blew me away. That was really, really good. I want to talk about Chain from Within, because Chain from Within is I will say almost like a Jethro Tull sounding song, but with a little bit more rock in it. I like that rock infusion. Was that intended?
It changed from within. That started with Bill just going ding, 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 ding on a guitar. And I said, wait, keep playing that. And he kept playing it. And I went over to the keyboard and played. And then I had our keyboard player, Mario Donato, keep playing that. And I started writing a bunch of lyrics. And, that song to me is so much me right now. I feel like, mankind is going through ascension like right now.
You're
And
right.
that change from within is happening like right now, so.
Um, and I'm just going to pick some songs here because these are, a lot of the songs from you guys. So Long to Yesterday. I think that's a great song for the end of the year, when you're going into the next year, because we always look back at the bad things, but look at the good things too. You know, say goodbye, but remember them, reflect on them. In a spiritual way. Was that intended in the song?
So Long to Yesterday started off, Larry was originally singing the vocals on it. And it's a hard thing for me to have somebody that you're working that close with, and you have to tell them, listen, that vocal's not cutting it. I got to sing it, and and I ended up having to put myself in that position a lot of times. I led that song off on Circus because I felt like it was super strong, and you wouldn't believe how many hours that I spent listening to those different songs and deciding where they go, because I wanted that whole CD to read front to back and be comfortable with it, like flowing all the way through. And I think I achieved that.
Yeah, no, you did a great job. Even I would say even the acoustic sounds of Believe and Maybe on Circus was, I mean, unbelievably great sounding songs. I mean, really, they're really, really well written, well produced, sound amazing, and they don't have a lot of stuff on them. It's
So
just
maybe was I had found a nylon string guitar in a junk pile with a snap neck, and I took it home and glued the neck back together and put some strings on it and wrote that song as a love letter to my previous ex-wife now, and sent it to her as a love letter, and it ended up being on the CD.
wow. And the newer stuff like Days of Our Lives, that's almost got a haunting memory at the end, like it's like you're out in the sea somewhere, the ocean. That's an amazing, amazing song.
Thank you. Yeah, Days of Our Lives are, some of those songs are, I started working on them without anybody around, and then had them come in and start working on vocals on those. Larry came up with that vocal line, and we just continued on, writing around it.
Wow, that's that's a hard process, but sometimes it's, when I watch professionals work, like when I listen to the Traveling Wilburys and how they all sat around a table with their guitars or ukuleles, and one would play a track, oh no, this one works better, and then they would put that in, and bang, they got a song in like 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And I know sometimes, when you're doing that, having that other person, that other part of you or whoever with you is sometimes key to make that song. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, it's we were speaking of spirituality, before, and something happens when songs are truly like a gift from God. And I mean,
Yeah.
it's it's totally, you're just being the conduit, and when you're standing around with three other people and they're finishing your sentences, the synchronicities are so unbelievable. It's almost like you're like, whoa. It was like, I spoke, then you spoke, I spoke, then you spoke, and we're finishing each other's sentences. And when after you work with people for a while and you're on that good of writing partners, we all do that just naturally for each other.
Absolutely. So is there anything that you would have wanted done, like wrote a book with some of these words? I mean, you're also a great motivational person too. In your songs, everything about the song is very motivational. And did you ever think about motivational speaking? Is there if COVID didn't happen, how do you feel about any of that?
I don't know if I'm a person to look up to, that's for sure. I you know I'm I am grounded in like love. Like for me, like love is the most important thing that you could achieve in this life, and the most important thing that you could, no matter what you do it well and do it with love, because if you're spreading that throughout the your little,
Mhm.
it spreads like wildfire, and I wish more people would be like that. That's what I really want my message to be.
Oh, and Rich Hall wants to know, he says, for those that may join late, what overall style of music do you play? Basically, it was rock, right? Or would you consider it something else?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we were adult-oriented rock is it was what we were always classified as. Almost Christian rock, I
Really?
mean, yeah.
I can understand some of that being almost Christian rock, you know. One other song I want to talk about, Loose Lips. That song has got a lot of almost band influenced music in the background, like like a keyboard sounding like it's got brass section.
Yeah.
And tell me about a little bit about that song. I think it has some sexual overtones.
I
It
have a
does, doesn't it? I thought so. I love it. Go ahead.
I have a I have a real connection to 1940s music for some reason. It
Yeah.
was almost like I was alive in that time because I seem to know it so well in my core of me. Um, no, I started writing that, and we were actually laughing as we were writing the lyrics, and we wrote it on acoustic guitars in Bill's basement, and then Roland Pepin came and put all those amazing keyboard horn sections on it and stuff. And I actually had intended to have real horns come in it, but it didn't. It actually didn't work out. We were mixing and trying to put the horn section on there at the same time, and it was the last song on the CD. So it came out the way it came out, but it was a hoot. It was a blast.
Oh, I like the song. It's a really catchy song, and it sounds like from 1940s. It's got that kind of vibe, you know. But the Beatles, did the same thing. It doesn't mean that you can't experience outside your genre. Did you guys ever want to do a country song?
No, and it was recommended to me that we should try because the country market was certainly when we were working, just on the first CD and then into the second, the country market was just really cracking open at that point, and I couldn't hear myself singing like that. So, so I and not that I have anything against country music. I,
Right.
I love it, you know.
Well, today's country music doesn't sound nothing like the 70s and 80s of country music. You know that, right? It's more, to me, it sounds more rocky. It's got
Oh,
more
yeah.
rock and kick to it.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So I don't see any difference between that and maybe a person's vocal. That's about it.
You know,
And
I
maybe it's,
I I like all styles of music except for rap and polka, and if I had to choose, I would choose polka.
So is there any other genre that you want to explore with outside of recording new stuff? Is there any other thing that you want to do? Like gospel or anything?
A lot of the soundtrack type of stuff that I'm working on right now are, I don't know, I guess you can consider 'em like new age, like type stuff. I certainly had that period in my life where I was listening to all like David Arkenstone and like things like that, like new age artists. I I listen to, all day long. I will listen to like stuff like that soothes me, and not that actually hypes me out, but actually soothes me, just because it's like the world's so tense right now.
And we need your music, man. We really need it. We need the healing. We need the healing of the world and the healing of people and businesses to get back to us and other things. And Peter, I'll be honest with you. I've reached out to so many businesses uh, over the years, and the same response has always been the same. Well, you're not an FM radio station. You don't have a huge reach here. Like, but you just take a chance on us. You don't know that. You don't know the amount of people that are listening on FM anymore because they don't really do phone calls. So that's a lot of disagreements I have with them. But anyway, um,
Well,
please try to send me the soundtracks. Go ahead.
people, if you've noticed in life, people don't like to move out of their comfort zone.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's for me, I like every time I write or I write with somebody else, I don't like to really put myself in a box, and I don't really like start with any like, certain thing in mind. So, sometimes it'll come out in just a really nice acoustic song, and other times it gets more intricate and more involved.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. So your kid that's writing music, right? You said it's from what? What was the name of his band?
Name of his band is Anchor.
Anchor, and they're in Connecticut. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. Does he have any songs that you want to push for him?
Well, they just released a digital thing on. So if you look up Anchor, ANCHOR on like Spotify, or I mean, they got a pretty big presence on there, and they're all over the place too as far as what they write. Their intro to their new download is kind of like a jazzy thing. My son's playing a clarinet. They got the sax player. They got and you would think it's like a James Bond tune. I mean, it's really cool.
Oh, that sounds good. What's the name of the song?
Oh, I'm old, Gene.
So I'm just trying to give him some promotion. I mean, I am too, so I understand. Um, we got about 15 more minutes, and I'm looking for if anybody has any questions because I pretty much asked everything. I told you this was going to happen. I knew this because I asked you questions before we started.
So when we were recording Circus, I had just purchased a 16-track studio, and I had this keyboard part for which ended up to be Believe in Love. And I had the recording down, and I invited Bill over. I had known Bill from other bands. Other friends had played with him that I knew. So I invited him over, and right away we recorded a great demo of that, and in my basement, and we're like, wow, we really write good together. So we just started. So a song on Circus and Paradise. Now, Paradise, if you go and listen to that song is me writing a song about Bill not really wanting to tour.
I didn't. Okay, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Because I was telling him, go home to your paradise, because he literally had paradise, and he couldn't want for anything more. He had everything that he needed. I mean, he had a wonderful wife, kids, job, like everything that you could ask for. I mean, so why would you want to do anything else?
Yeah, and yeah, trying to create new stuff is, your brain's kind of scrambled, trying to think about stuff and while you're trying to take care of your family and stuff. I get that. I understand that.
The thing about music is you can't just let it steamroll you just because you're good, and just it doesn't mean you have to like forfeit your whole life to go on some record company's journey. You know what I mean? It's like
Well, from some of the horror stories, Peter, that a lot of the bands in the 60s and 70s, they really didn't get a lot of money. They didn't get a lot of notoriety, and a lot of them weren't even considered. They didn't even put them on the album if it wasn't a band that was a prominent band at that time. It's very sad to see that, because you've got a lot of hardworking musicians out there that were studio musicians and accomplished musicians, and they just never got their come up. It's very sad.
I don't know if you've ever watched any of the interviews on Tom Petty, but how he really changed. He took his leverage and changed the industry because he knew that they were being screwed. And he was just like, no, we're renegotiating for, we want 70% of the cut here, not 5%. He goes, it's like ridiculous.
Well, you see the agents that were, again, it's the agents that work with the record companies to try to get you the best deal, always get the best deal for themselves. And they in a way, they give you a little scraps of something. So,
Well, it was the few offers that I was offered, it was like they wanted 100% of the publishing, and I was like, not, not a chance. Sorry.
no, that's ridiculous. You wrote the songs, unfortunately, it's just the way life is. You either take the chance of becoming famous or not becoming famous, and at least have all the publishing rights. I mean, it's one or the other. But I enjoyed this interview. I really did. I like I said, before we started, I was like, so I'm sensitive because we've known each other for a long time. Not that we've talked to each other like this, but we did talk, through instant messaging, emails, and other things. And you even knew me when I was Sunny Radio, which was, I don't know anybody knows that. So that
No,
was
and
really cool.
it's crazy how much time goes by. We had talked on the phone a couple of times. I always meant to zip down there and have lunch with you at some point. I mean, you're not that far away from me, so.
At some point, maybe someday, some future. But anyway, are you surprised I still play your band?
I'm thankful. I'm grateful for all that you do, man. It's really nice to have know that people like listen to us still.
Yeah, but that's the object of a DJ. When it comes down to it, the DJ is supposed to play what the people want, and the DJ is supposed to play what he wants, and everybody's supposed to meet in the middle. That's the way it's supposed to be. But unfortunately, through payola and other things, it doesn't work that way. It only works when a person owns a station that can control anything, or the other part, of course, is what you're told to play. So
So it's an interesting thing that happens when you blurt out that songs come from God. Everyone is like criticizing you as a religious zealot or something. But deeply in court in me is like I believe that when you're writing songs, you're a channel, and the gratitude should go to God, and that's from the core of me, and I just believe that.
are you writing anything with COVID in it? I know a lot of my artist friends are doing stuff about COVID because they have nothing else to do.
No, the COVID thing. No, I don't get nervous for myself, and perhaps you're like this too. I feel like I've really lived a good life, a full life, and if I was to die tomorrow, I wouldn't be disappointed on my deathbed. What I am really in fear for is my kids and
Right.
and my family and all those things that are so precious to me, and I just when you have kids, they're extensions of yourself, and it's the thing that can hurt you the most in this life.
Yeah, we have to let the little birdies fly on their own and kind of let go. It's hard to let go sometimes as a dad or as a parent. It's just hard to let go, and we do it all the time. You got to let them fly on their own.
So that's what makes me nervous. And, hopefully as a society as a whole, we can kind of hold it together. There's so much angst right now, it's just like people are crazy.
Yeah, I know, and I don't want to beat a dead horse as I say this, but there's a lot of people that are angry and very, very angry at us because we're happy. And I'm not happy because of COVID. I'm happy because what else can I be? If I'm aggravated or frustrated or sad, um, I don't want to be in that environment that long. I want to be in a positive, happy, smiling environment. And if you're mad that I'm happy, smiling, and positive, then I'm sorry. I wish you were like I was. That's
So, like when I was deciding like songs to be on the CD and stuff, I was feeling like, okay, this is going to represent me for a long time. It's going to be out there. And what do I want it to represent? And I was totally like about love. And when I explained to my kids that same thing, I said, when you're out in the world, you represent me. I said, so I represent love. So I expect you to represent love like I represent love. I said, I expect you to put it out there like that. You're to be kind to people, to be, and so far they seem to be doing well.
well, that's great. That's good. That's good news. I'm glad. I'm proud of you. Proud of your son. Proud of the music you got coming out. Hopefully you'll get it to me. Send me some soundtrack stuff. Anything. I like always filler. I need something for my show, beginning of the show, and I would love to have something that either you scored that I can use or something because I always try to give it to the person that developed it. Yeah, I can write my own stuff if I wanted to. I just
So
don't
how'd you
know.
go? I know that you've worked with some other artists. How'd you go about so do you have ability to record where you have, or you listen, you write lyrics, do you have them do it? How's
Well,
that work?
well, the way I did Bonfire, I just explained it to you this way. The way I did Bonfire was just an idea. Um, and my co-writing partner is a country pop artist. She had taken my idea, wrote it down, and put it into a lyrical song because she's done that. You know, I don't know if I have the ability to write a song, but then I wrote a song with Anthony Longo called Yes We Can. See, all my songs are positive. All my songs are just like you. They're trying to stay positive, stay strong, stay happy, stay whatever. And that is what I tell everybody. You have to try to stay in the environment of being positive all the time, whether something happens, something bad, try to stay in the positive form if you can. And that's the only way I write songs. I mean, I'm getting to the point where I can write more, um, but I haven't done it. I haven't. Nobody really asked me to do anything. I think I have to be motivated by if somebody says, "Hey, you want to write a song together again?" Yeah, sure. Let's. What are we going to write about? Um, let's write about the sky. Let's write about what affects in the sky that when it's blue and how beautiful it is. In fact, when I talked to David Payton and he wrote, Magic from Pilot, and then he went into Alan Parsons Band. He told me about the song Blue Sky, and I love Blue Sky. It's a great song. I think of all the great songs with a beautiful blue sky, and I'm thinking that would be a great song. So I'm thinking in my mind now, when you're telling me this, all these lyrics are running through my mind, and it's kind of like forming its own song. You know what I'm talking about. Once you get an idea,
So it's interesting that like when you well, for me, when I'm writing songs, sometimes I can pick up a guitar and write a song. Sometimes it'll start with a bass line. Sometimes it'll start with a drum beat. sometimes it'll start with just a keyboard part, or
Mhm.
sometimes it'll just start with a lyric where, somebody's written something down and I was like, whoa, I could hear myself singing that this way, and I run with it. So maybe we should try something like that.
I'm thinking right now, on top of my head, Blue Sky, my oh my. It's just simple, quaint, but it's just like, oh my God, that's that's at least part of the chorus.
Well, now you need your background
Yeah.
behind you.
Now you're gonna have me up all night thinking about all this stuff. But no, I really think that's how a song comes. A song comes from what you're thinking about. Um, and I got to equate to Jeff Lynne from ELO when he did Out of the Blue, the 2 weeks that he spent in a chateau in Switzerland. He was able to write all them songs in that little chalet. Um, I I'm not saying I'm like him, but I have so much Beatle influence in me, just like you, that I think I can write almost like a Ruddle song. Um, I would put a little bit of this, a little bit of that, maybe a little bit of each band in there to give it different sound. But I love chord structure change. I love when the tempo changes in a song because it's something unexpected. It's like, oh wow, this is great. Now it changes to this. So it's like two songs into one. And I like the vocals at the end of the song because when you take the instruments out and fade them out or just stop them, now the vocals have a chance to penetrate the person's hearing. That's just my opinion.
Some of these new things I'm working on with Kanata, are a lot like that. It's almost like three songs in one.
Yeah,
They're all different sections. Real 70s, real Pink Floyd-ish.
nice, nice. And another person that I like as a songwriter, Paul Simon. What an amazing, amazing songwriter. I mean, he can come up with lyrics, pretty much for anything.
No, amazing. I was actually just caught a live performance from about, I don't know, maybe 20 or 30 years ago with all the African artists on stage with
Yeah,
him, and
yeah,
it was so good.
yeah. I mean, the rhythms, the sounds, the people he gets involved with him. Um, I really look up to him, and like a lot of 70s artists, some of the 70s artists, of course, some are still here, some aren't. And it's just nice to see that the songs that they created are still being played today. Just like you said earlier, I'm just thankful you're playing my songs. That's what they want. They just like, thank you for playing my songs. Thank you for keeping us out there, keeping the music out there. Yeah, I'm not making $1 million from it, but at least they're hearing my music, which is what I intended anyway. So
Yeah. Uh, when you're recording music, you want to that's going to be out there for a long time representing you. And I was really careful to say to my son, I said, try not to release anything on the internet until you're ready to do it,
right,
because you're going to regret it. You know,
people steal your songs and everything. Yeah, I know. My wife.
Not even that. It's just like 20 years later, and you're like, oh God, I should have never
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
put
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. That too. Yeah. That. Yeah. Because you're like, oh yeah, that was just an idea. Then it wasn't a complete. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna let you go, Peter, because it's been great, man. I've had so much
Thank you
fun
for
with
having,
you,
thank you for
and
having.
like I said, send me the new stuff when you can. Um, if there's anybody that that want to interview, let me know. I'll be glad to do it. I'm also on was it KSCR in California now. They picked up this show, so this show will be played there too. I'll send it over to them. So I want to thank you for coming again. I had a great time. I enjoyed our visit, and like I said, I consider you a friend. I consider you a person that I've known years ago through music, and because of music, we're still friends. And I appreciate everything that you do.
Thank you, Doug.
Thank you so much. Have a good night. Thanks, guys. Have a good night, everybody listening. Talk to you later. Bye
Be
bye.
well.